Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Homeopathic Super Sessions by Dr. Jagos. Today we'll be doing the last chapter, that is Richard Hughes chapter number 10, the administration of the similar remedy, which is continuing from chapter number 9. So far we have seen how the remedy arrived by the law of similars to be administered. In this lecture we shall study the point of minute. So in the last chapter Dr. Richard Hughes has did not tell us anything about the point minutely, but in this chapter, he tells you much more in detail. It is the essence of the homeopath that remedy should be given in two small doses to excite aggravation or collateral disturbance. So he says that the essence of homeopathy is that you have to give the homeopathic remedies in an infinitesimal dose or in small doses so as to excite an aggravation or any collateral disturbance. In the second edition of Organon by Hahnemann, he has occasionally recommended the use of infinitesimal, thousands, million, and yet higher fractions of a grain. In the third edition of Organon, Hahnemann introduced the theory of drug dynamization. When Hahnemann first started to prescribe medicines, he gave them in this usual quantity. Though the symptoms were removed, it occurred with the disease getting severely aggravated. So, as you all can see, that as Dr. Hahnemann in the initial stages of homeopathy, when he had discovered homeopathy, he went on experimenting regarding the dosage of the medicine. So initially, large doses were used of the medicine, and later on in the third edition, the drug dynamization was used. And initially, Hahnemann had given it in quite a large quantity, and no doubt it had removed the symptoms, but it had occurred with the disease getting severely aggravated. So the disease was aggravated and then the symptoms were removed, but this was not correct. So Hahnemann reduced the doses accordingly. So he went on experimenting and he said that larger doses cause more disturbances or more aggravation. So he went on reducing the doses. Hahnemann found out that a reduction to the fractional quantities of the smallness exercise a potent influence. So Hahnemann found out that the more he reduced the doses, the more potent the medicine got. The medicine became. Between 1798 to 1799, he was working on 10,000s and millions, and it is still not till 1809 he started using higher fractions. So initially he was working on a small reduction, and later on he started using higher fractions. From 1816, we see the use of trillionth and sextillionth. In 1829, for the sale of uniformity, for the sake of uniformity, Hahnemann advised the use of the decilent. For this, he advised the attenuation scale, which after some variation is settled on the centesimal scale. So, as you all know, in Dr. Hahnemann's time also, there was a confusion which potency to use. So, in 1829, he advised the use of the decilent potency. And he said that he settled on the centesimal scale. And he said that in this scale, the dilution ratio was 1 part of drug substance to be diluted with 99 parts of alcohol. This was done until the 30th degree of scale was adopted. So the maximum potency which Dr. Hahnemann used in his practice was the 30th potency. So why did he use 30th potency? Because he wanted to have a sort of an uniformity in the use of the potency, and there was a lot of confusion. So in order to subdue the confusion and to have uniformity in practice, Dr. Hahnemann adopted the 30th degree in the centesimal scale in practically all his cases. In the case of insoluble substances like metals, attenuation was observed by adding 1 grain of substance to 99 grains of sugar and milk. So in insoluble substances, the method of trituration was used. It was triturated in a mortar, and after sufficient to ensure the admixture, again adding a grain of the product to 99 more grains of sugar or milk. So in the trituration method, as you all know, it consists of 3 parts of 20 minutes each. So totally it takes 1 hour for trituration. So here adopted this method. Hahnemann had reason to believe that after the 3rd degree, the substance became practically soluble. Thus, he directed the fourth attenuation to be prepared with water, the fifth attenuation to be prepared with equal parts of water and spirit, and the sixth upwards with pure spirit. Many of the followers had their own way of preparing potencies. So, now let us see some of his followers and what method of potency they had, of preparing the potencies they had. So, Jensen's method was to simply success the ordinary attenuation by giving many shakes, which reckoned to produce a potency one step higher in the scale. So Jensen's method was that whatever medicine was there or whatever attenuation was there, you have to just success it, and by doing so, you obtain one more higher potency on the scale. Korsakov's contact potency were also rejected. Now, this is a total different topic about Korsakov's contact potencies. This Dr. Richard Hughes has just mentioned it in his lecture. Finke and Swan called it the fluxion potency. So Finke and Swan also were there, in which they used the fluxion potency. However, many calculation errors were there, so that the millionth came to equal of Hahnemann the 10th. So in the fluxion potency was what that they had they had to create a more potent medicine by giving a more power to the medicines in a particular fashion, so that it became more powerful. This was known as the fluxion potencies. But however, the calculation there were so many there were so many calculations involved that great errors were there, because whatever calculation Finke and Swan had calculated to be the millionth, it was equal to Hahnemann's the 10th. So you can see the gross error in calculation. Therefore, Richard Hughes was of the opinion not to waste our time with these dubious processes and concentrate only on Hahnemann's method. So therefore, Richard Hughes said that why waste our time on different people and the different ways of preparing the potencies. Some may, some of which were not, were not proper, or they were not correct. So, he said, why waste our time? Let us only concentrate on the Hahnemann's method. In the 38th volume of the British Journal of Homeopathy, page 324, the homeopathic trituration results were summed up. It took 1 hour to complete one trituration. During the process of trituration, the coarse substance undergoes the finer subdivision in the first step itself. In the succeeding stages, there's a progressive diminution in the number of particles present. That means as you go on triturating, the number of particles, they go on diminishing in number. In order to raise the drug further after the sixth trituration, it must be done in a liquid medium. So therefore, he came to a conclusion that after the sixth trituration, you have to then further raise the drug by not using SL or saccharum lactis, but by using a liquid medium. This is the point where an insoluble substance becomes soluble in either water or alcohol. The only field in which the real dynamization can be really recognized is that those substances which are inert in the crude state, when rubbed with some indifferent vehicle, become active and very potent medicines are produced. So therefore, he says that the main advantage of this dynamization method was that substances which were inert in their crude state, when subjected to the process of dynamization, either succussion or trituration, they became very potent medicine. So inert substances, their activation into, into useful recognized substances was done with this method. Quicksilver, when mixed with roses or chalk, became a potent drug. The metals, gold, silver, platinum, zinc, and neutral substances like charcoal, flint, and lycopodium are awakened to energy by this potent process. So, therefore, they also said that many metals and other neutral substances, when directed under this peculiar process of trituration, they the energy or the potent power or the potential power which was dead in its crude state became awakened or got activated by this peculiar process of drug dynamization. Thus, medicines had an indefinite development of power which resulted from dilutions to avoid aggravations or collateral effects. So, therefore, whatever medicines were gained in such a process, they, when they were used, the quantity was reduced to such an extent that they did not have any aggravations or any collateral effects or some other effects. The power of medicines is increased as the medicinal solution through diffusion is capable of having many points of contact with the living matter. So it says that the medicine power is increased because whatever medicine solution is there through the process of diffusion, it comes in contact with many points on the living matter. So therefore, he says that if you would use a wet dose by putting a few drops in water and giving it to the person, naturally, it through the process of diffusion, the lingual nerves are stimulated. There are many points of contact, and the medicine acts better. Furthermore, the medicine acts by the surfaces and not by the mass, and are therefore more effective in proportion as the former is extended. Furthermore, he says that the medicines act by their surfaces and not by their mass. So the medicines act on the surface area and not by the mass, and therefore more effective in proportion as the former is extended. And therefore, they are more effective when it is in contact with the many points in the living matter, on the living organisms. As I told you, you give the medicine few drops in water and ask the patient to drink it. So by doing so, what happens? The medicinal water goes on the tongue, larger surface area is there, and the medicine acts much more better. If you read also Hahnemann's greater writings, he also always tells you that always give a wet dose and never a dry dose, because the wet dose will cover up a more surface area and many nerves are stimulated and the action will be much fast. And if you don't want unnecessary aggravation to occur of a homeopathic remedy, always dilute it in water and give it. See, in practice, what we are doing, we are giving directly 4 pills 3 times a day, which is, I think, so wrong. We have to follow Hahnemann's method, which I think very people or rather few people know about this point. So that's all in this lecture. It's a very short lecture. I have, of course, here's Richard Hughes has given many examples which I've omitted because I found them to be unnecessarily and not very relevant. Okay, so I hope you all have liked this video, and I've totally now finished the 10 chapters of Richard Hughes according to your syllabus, and I've tried my level best to put forward it to you in very simple terms so that you can write to examinations and pass with good marks. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you do like this video, please do subscribe, share, like, comment, and forward. Please do pass on this message of mine to different students from different colleges so that they also can be benefited. Thank you once again.